The sky looks bruised and holy at the same time, a velvet green dome stippled with tired stars, and Scooter is walking like he always does. Not because he wants to, but because momentum is the only promise the universe has ever kept. His boots scuff an old road that isn't a road anymore, just a seam between two ideas. Desert on the left, Blackwater Ocean on the right, the horizon bent like a smile that knows something you don't. Louis pads ahead, Rebel checks the flanks, and the little black horse keeps a steady metronome of hoofbeats that says, "We are alive, we are alive, we are," despite the odds and the rules and the paperwork. The can in his hand sweats nebulae. It was cold once, back when cold came from refrigerators and not from the empty miles between stars. Now it glows faintly like a candle at last call. He raises it to the whale song wind and says, "To persistence and bad ideas," and the wind says it back in a dozen extinct languages. The air smells like ozone, copper, and new rain on old bones. He passes through places that used to be people. Memory hangs from telephone wires like prayer flags, a pink baby shoe, a cassette tape bleeding its intestines to the breeze, a Polaroid of someone in love with someone else. He knows the trick now. The world recycles. It doesn't forget, it composts. Grief becomes soil. Soil feeds the weeds that concrete and let the future breathe. He laughs because, of course, the future needs secondhand lungs. Up ahead, a structure rises from the shoreline, half lighthouse, half jukebox, lights pulsing in time with a heartbeat he recognizes as his own. The sign above the door says, "Welcome back again," the diner that watches the multiverse like it owns the lease. He pushes through the door, and the bell on the frame rings in the key of A minor, a little melancholy, a little hopeful. The waitress is ageless and patient, face stitched together from everyone he ever trusted. She pours coffee that tastes like rain and says, "You're late." "Traffic," he says. "Across nothing?" Even nothing gets crowded eventually. She quirks a smile. "Breakfast or absolution? Dealer's choice." She slides him eggs that never were and toast that tastes like childhood. In the chrome, his reflection wobbles and splits into versions of himself that raise their cans in sync, like a miserable orchestra that finally learned tempo. Outside, the horse stands at the window like hired security from a myth. The dogs curl under the booth and dream with their paws, running after comets no one else can see. From the corner, the jukebox coughs up static that arranges itself into Krista's laugh, and he turns without meaning to. There she is, only not. There and not there, edges flaring like the sun through a storm. She leans on the counter and steals a fry that has no right to be delicious. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she says. "Mostly I hear them," he says. "You're the loudest. I warned you. You don't get rid of me." "I tried," he says, and the waitress snorts because she recognizes a lie when it buys breakfast. Krista taps the can with a fingernail that glints like a meteor. "You ready for the twist? Long as it's not immoral." "It's worse," she says. "It's true." The diner peels away like a set built on a budget. Linoleum curls, chrome melts, formica dissolves into equations. Beneath it is the rough machinery of everything, strings humming like cello wires, quarks jittering like impatient children, dark matter flexing its invisible muscles the way bouncers do when they don't need to. He keeps standing because falling got boring centuries ago. The dogs keep sleeping because dogs have better theology than men. "Tell me," he says. She points at the can. "You think that thing's a symbol. It's not. It's a container." "For what? Regret?" "For you," she says, and he barks a laugh. "I'm too big for aluminum." "Not when you fold," she says, and the word fold echoes down a physics hallway that smells like chalk and lightning. Relativity is a rumor. The punchline is topology. You don't end, you crease. The road tilts. The ocean takes one step inland. A cliff face that wasn't there 10 minutes ago shows up holding a carved door marked "Again" in a handwriting that looks suspiciously like his. He and repetition have an understanding. He goes through. The dogs follow. The horse flicks an ear like a blessing you have to earn twice. Beyond the door is a stairway made of discarded prayers and broken screens. Each riser shows a life he didn't live. The one where he forgave his brother. The one where the truck didn't skid. The one where he told the truth early enough to matter. He takes the stairs like a confession, slow, honest, out of breath. At the top, there's a room that's not a room, more of a pause between types of silence. Typewriters click by themselves, hundreds of them, keys slapping out drafts of his saga. Pages drift like snow and settle on the floor, a blizzard of "still here" in 1,000 fonts. He picks one up and it reads, "He never learned the difference between surviving and living, so the universe stopped grading on that curve and just kept him after class." He pockets it. Might need a motto later. Krista's voice rides a wind that arrives from nowhere. "Here's the twist," she says. "It wasn't a curse." "Oh, good," he says. "It was a gift wrapped in barbed wire." "No," she says, closer now, warm enough to hurt. "It was a job." He feels the words slot into place like a gear catching. "Witness. Archivist." She corrects. "The long memory. The repeat customer. The one who keeps showing up when the story tries to end. Unpaid, I'm guessing." "Unionizing went poorly," she says, deadpan. The floor becomes a map stitched from photographs. Motel mirrors, hospital ceilings, the underside of a truck where he waited to die and didn't. Lines thread through years like arteries. He follows the path until he's standing on an image of a backyard under an old tree dripping Spanish moss. The dogs are younger here. Their names rise off the page and lick his face. The horse shakes off rain that smells like Florida before the weather decided moods were optional. He walks and the map walks with him, rolling like a carpet of memory. He passes through a village where they worship a statue of him labeled patron saint of bad ideas, and he signs the base with a screwdriver and a grin. He crosses a desert of radio static and hears, beneath the hiss, Cheryl humming the song she never finished, the one about how everyone's heart keeps terrible time. And he knows this is why he didn't die the last time or the time before that. Somebody had to remember her key. The sky folds, two horizons shake hands. He's on a ridge that wasn't looking down at a city built of reflections. Every window shows him a man he could be today if he were brave enough to stop being yesterday's champion. He knocks on a pane. It opens into a bar he used to hate, and Krista's at a corner table judging the jukebox's taste. "You coming?" she asks. "Not yet," he says, and closes the window because the past has better lighting than truth. He keeps going. He crosses a bridge made of unspoken apologies. Some of the planks creak under his weight. A few pop loose and fall into a fog that smells like birthdays he missed. He says he's sorry to the fog, and it doesn't answer, which might be mercy or just acoustics. When he gets to the far side, the beer can grows heavy, like someone added gravity to it out of spite. He opens it and out lifts a moth made of light. It flutters into the sky and becomes a star where there wasn't one. He names the star Why Not, because naming things is cheaper than therapy. The road drops into a valley where dead satellites orbit a hill like vultures with paperwork. Each one still tries to transmit the news of a world that has outgrown its broadcast. He tunes his head to their frequency and gets headlines from 1,000 yesterdays. Storm always wins. Man survives again. Creator asserts ownership of soul. He laughs until he wheezes. The satellites take it personally and crash one by one, gentle as drunk snow. At the valley's center, an old tree grows out of a cracked clock. Its bark is tattooed with names he speaks out loud so they won't vanish. He carves one more, Krista, and the tree shivers like a cathedral hit by thunder. She steps out from behind it, smiling the way you do when you've been right for so long it's boring. "Welcome back," she says. "Again. I'm starting to suspect again is forever. Forever is just again without a calendar," she says. "You ready?" "For what?" "The twist after the twist." She nods at the can. "Fold." He thinks of every crease he ever made in a life. How you fold a letter you never send, how you fold a flag you don't want to need, how you fold your hands when you run out of words. He holds the can up. It's heavier now. The surface shows galaxies orbiting the dent he put in it the night he decided to keep breathing out of spite. He places it on the ground at his feet like an altar, and then, feeling stupid, feeling holy, he steps into it. The physics is funny at first. His ankles refuse, then learn, then vanish. Knees go next, groaning like old church doors. He's sinking without falling, becoming smaller without losing any of the noise. The dogs circle, tails making comets. The horse lowers its head in a nod that contains a century. Krista rests a hand on his shoulder as his ribs slide into aluminum, and his voice turns to a vibration that can't find air to ride but tries anyway. From inside the can, the world is louder and kinder. Sound moves like honey. Light bends to fit. He realizes the can was never empty. It was always full of places to stand where endings can't reach him. He laughs and it comes out as a warm ring that rolls across the ground, spelling "still here" in the dust without asking permission. Krista leans down and speaks into the opening, and her voice is the first sunrise. I told you the curse wasn't punishment. It's maintenance, he says, and the can makes the words sound like music. Archivist, she says again, soft as victory. You keep the universe honest. Someone's gotta, he says. It lies for a living. She picks up the can now, careful, reverent, like a relic rescued from a fire, and sets it atop a flat stone at the hill's crown. The dogs sit, tongues out, proud of a trick none of them were taught. The horse turns to face the wind like an old captain who knows the storm is a kind of applause. Above them, the sky opens one more time, not to end anything, just to make more room. Inside the can, he feels expansion the way you feel a laugh build in your chest. It starts small, snags, then breaks wide. The galaxies beyond him tilt their drinks. The black between them softens. Relativity's strict posture slumps into a couch and kicks off its shoes. The universe exhales, and in that exhale, every life he ever touched shivers like strings tuned to the same stubborn note. Krista grins up at the stars. The hangover's over, she says, not unkind. He hums through aluminum. Is it? The wind answers like a choir of wise asses. The tree answers with 1,000 leaves saying maybe. The satellites try to answer, but decide to listen for once. Somewhere past the horizon, the diner flips its sign to open, because endings are just breaks in service. The can warms with the low, impossible light of a tab about to pull. Krista presses 2 fingers to the rim like a benediction and says, You don't know, and that's the point. Good, he says from the echoing metal belly of his favorite joke. If I knew, I'd ruin it. She laughs. It ripples the dust. The dogs bark, and their barks become shooting stars. The horse stamps, and its hoofprint becomes a small lake that reflects a sky nobody owns. The words still here glow a little, then settle back down like coals after a campfire story that refuses to finish. Night drifts in sideways, wearing teal and gold. The tree breathes. The satellites sleep. The road hears the future coming and pretends it wasn't waiting. Krista lies back on the hill, hands folded behind her head, queen of the continuity, and watches the can like it's a lighthouse that learns sarcasm. He lets the metal hum lull him, his voice becoming part of the ring that keeps the edges of everything from fraying. He's not done, and he's not starting. He's the coil between the two. He's the bend that lets the road forgive the mountain. He's the line in the song that doesn't rhyme, but you'd miss it if it were gone. A breeze, small, curious, slides across the stone and flips the tab with a soft, ceremonial click. Light lifts, not loud, not final, just enough to say again without using the word. Somewhere far off, a bell rings in the diner, and the waitress smiles, already pouring coffee for the next version of a man who won't stop showing up. From inside the can, he grins in a way only the universe can hear and says, Last call, my ass. The glow rises, the hill gleams, the stars lean in like gossips. The dust writes still and then pauses, because pauses are a kind of mercy. Krista closes her eyes, satisfied, victorious, the ghost who never needed to haunt so much as host. The wind asks the oldest question. The can answers with a warmer one. The hangover is over. Or maybe it's the part where you realize you liked the night. The light does not leave, it makes room. The universe keeps expanding like a joke that gets better every time you tell it. And somewhere between the rim and the echo, a voice you know by heart laughs, grateful and unkillable. Still here.